Hello everyone, my name is Cameron and welcome back to your regularly scheduled nonsense where, yes, we are back with yet another stream of Far Cry Primal. God, 12 fucking streams of this game. I'm getting a little tired of streaming this, and obviously the reason it's gotten up to 12 is genuinely just down to the fact that it crashes a lot. At least on PS5 it did. On PS4 it seemed to be completely fine. Which is weird, because normally, regardless of what I'm playing it on, if there's an issue with crashing, it still crashes if I change it. Because I've done a few games on PS4 where I had some stability issues, switched to PS5, and had none for like an hour of gameplay, and then had stability issues. Like when I did Baja Edge of Control, when I was working on Baja Edge of Control off camera, I was having crashing issues on PS5. I switched to PS4, and within 30 minutes, I crashed again on PS4. It was at the point where I thought maybe we'd have to do a different game for B, because I just didn't think Baja Edge of Control would be stable enough to finish. Thankfully, that was like the only crash I got on PS4, but I was expecting this to be much the same. Where the minute I tried to do anything on PlayStation 4, it break the same way. What up, Tensei? Suxi? He's the son. Wenja blood makes Suxli smile on the face. Motherfucker, I can't open my vent and it's cold in my room. I'm trying to like be warm. Go Takar, you can save the Wenja. So a few things that I want to talk about as we go into this. Oh, excuse me. When we do get to the end of this challenge, I'm gonna talk about what I thought of every game, kind of like and the challenge as a whole in a video. So we will be kind of discussing each platinum a little bit at the end of this. Now, obviously, I have talked about each platinum, bits and pieces of them while we've been doing this. You know, like obviously when I finished Baja Edge of Control and went into Cat Quest, I was talking about my thoughts on Baja Edge of Control's platinum and everything. But I'm gonna do an actual more in-depth kind of discussion about the 27 platinums we're doing during this challenge, to give you guys a little bit more insight into how I felt, not only doing the platinums, but after finishing them, and what I thought of the platinums as a whole. I do the same thing when I do my yearly reviews of my platinums for the year. This will more just be me kind of discussing the challenge itself as a whole and what I thought of it, and if I would be willing to do this again, which right now I'm already at the point where I'm thinking, yeah, I would love to do this a second time. Maybe next year I'll do the same thing or something similar. Maybe I'll try to actually do it within like a month and choose games that I can feasibly get done within a month. But again, the other big issue is I have to make sure that I can actually dedicate the time to it, which, between my personal life and my job right now, the reason I'm doing this across the whole year, rather than just a month or so, is genuinely just down to the fact that between my personal life and job, I don't really have the ability to do this as well as I would like to, unfortunately. So what we'll probably end up doing is, if I can feasibly set a time where I can do it, most likely I will. But right now, for this, my goal is I would like to try to be done with it before October. I would like October's stream setup to literally just be horror games for the entire month. Now, granted, when I say horror games, I mean I'll probably stream 2. I'm definitely going to do Dead Space. I want to get back into that. My buddy was like, have you played Dead Space since you streamed it? I was like, no. He's like, why not? I'm like, cause I'm lazy. But he also knows that I'm less of the psychological thriller horror type fan, and I'm more of a, you know, survival horror. I do like a little bit of differentiating. You know, I'm not just a Resident Evil fan like one of our other friends. I do like a lot of survival horror type games, but I also, with Dead Space, while I like it and I do enjoy it and I think it's a great game, I also didn't enjoy it at the same time, and that's like kind of what I told him. Like, I enjoyed parts of it, and there's parts of it that, from what I've played so far, that I'm like, I don't know how I feel about this game. But I will definitely be streaming more Dead Space because it is a fun game. Like, I do definitely enjoy playing it, and I do enjoy the way it looks and the way the game itself feels. I just did not want to keep streaming it at that point, and that's not on the game itself saying it's bad or anything like that. It's more just on me in October specifically, having so much to do and not really being able to take the time I would have liked to have taken to stream during that month. But I am thinking that if I can find more time to stream this coming October, then I will. You know, take a bit more time, stream more of that for starters, which would be fun. Probably also stream more Resident Evil 2 and try to finish that finally, because that's been on my list for a while. So finishing that would also be pretty nice. And then also probably, like, I don't know, maybe if we get through those, maybe do like Resident Evil 4 or something. You know, jump into one of those would also be kind of fun, I feel like. They're about to go fuck, aren't they? Okay, I'm gonna go try to destroy that call as well. I don't know, I don't currently see any call. Oh, there is one. Okay, I see him now. There is one caller dude right there. And for those of you who don't know, those are the dudes that don't need they don't need this thing basically to call for help. Okay, we have two of them and they're both asleep, it looks like. Also, I very much enjoyed the Super Bowl, for those of you wondering. The halftime show was great. Kendrick Lamar will always be somebody I love watching perform. I think he's fantastic. I think he told a lot of, like, he told a really good story with the halftime show. I think for the people who are saying they didn't understand it, they didn't get what he was talking about and things like that, you're the exact people he's talking about when it comes to that sort of stuff. Like, if you're like, well, I don't see why he, you know, like, I don't understand this, or why is he talking about this and stuff like that. Like, he's a political, like, he has a message he was sending, and if you didn't recognize that message with Samuel L. Jackson playing Black Uncle Sam and, you know, completely dogging on, from where? You know, the complete dogging on not only, like, football as a whole, but the country as a whole. That's you know, the exact reason the message that he was sending was being sent, because too many people turn a blind eye to those types of things, and he played such a great performance, and he did so well on it. This guy's not even that strong. Oh my god. Yeah, he put in such a great story, and I think that was 100%, he was the right person he was the right person, in my opinion, to be that halftime performance with where our country's at right now, especially. And yeah, that's 100% what he was, you know, the story he was telling during that, and the message he was sending. And there's people who 100% overlooked it because media literacy is not a strong suit anymore for people, and I think that's a big point of why he did that, you know. And it's more than just calling Drake a pedophile, you know. Like, that was definitely a big part of it, was basically telling Drake, hey, you thought you escaped. No, I'm gonna tell you exactly right now that you are exactly where I want you. And I'm gonna say this right now, I've seen so many people saying it, and I'm gonna be honest, yeah, if my biggest hater went on live national television in front of millions of people and called me a pedophile, I would, yeah, you'd have to invent a new word for the way I kill myself. I'd be done. Like, nah, I'm done. Living's not for me anymore, sort of thing. And I think, like, genuinely, not like us being played was crazy. I didn't really think he'd do it, but, like, this man won 5 Grammys, has a Pulitzer, and the way he was fixing and changing his lyrics, and the way he was breathing, and everything he did during that performance shows exactly why he won 5 Grammys and why he has a Pulitzer for his writing. Because genuinely, Kendrick Lamar is that goddamn good. And like, the balls and the heart to go out on national television when the president is there on the most watched TV thing of all time, and literally call out systemic racism and everything like that. It takes a lot of heart and courage, and I think Kendrick showed that he's not gonna sit there and be silenced by somebody. All that to say, trans rights are human rights, LGBTQ rights are human rights. Anyone who's not a straight white man, their rights are just as fucking equal as yours and mine. And if you don't buy that, if you don't believe that, get the fuck off my channel. If you're a bigoted, racist, homophobic piece of shit, you have no business being on my channel. If you think fascism and Nazism and genocide are okay, get the fuck off my channel, because you have no place here. Plain and simple. I'm saying that right now as clearly and plainly as I can. If you don't stick up for the people who have their rights and their voices stolen, you are not somebody who should be following this channel. Because at the end of the day, when you sit and watch people lose their rights and you don't speak up about it, you're complicit in the systemic silencing of people who have already had their rights abused for their entire lives. Man, that's a strong ass lock. Like, I didn't even see him put a lock on that. No shit, Sherlock. Hey, every upgrade unlocked. Let's fucking go, baby. Da of the Udam has joined your village. Can we talk? No? Okay, fuck you too then, dickhead. Alright, with that now done, what can we do next? So there's the Udam homeland. 1, 2. We have 3 to go, right? You know what? Let's go exploring into this area and see what we can find. Why not? But yeah, you know, and if that pisses you off that I said trans rights or human rights or anything that I just said, like fascism being wrong and that America should not be run by people who want to strip rights away from minorities and people who have systemically for hundreds of years had issues with having their voices stolen and having the rights that you and I are afforded. And by you and I mean if you are also white and a straight man. Because I'm gonna say this right now, you can deny it all you want. Like, while I don't believe white privilege is still a thing right now, I think it's more class related. I think, yeah, as a white person, I have less chance of something bad happening to me if I'm pulled over by a cop or something like that. I still don't feel comfortable when I'm around police officers 90% of the time because, unfortunately, I grew up poor. They don't really care about us all that much either. I just want to specify that. If you're poor and white, they really don't care about you that much either. Same with politicians. If you think politicians care about you, you don't pay enough attention. I'm gonna say that right now. I've always been on that side of the fence when it comes to that sort of stuff. If, for any reason whatsoever, you think that politicians care about you, you do not pay enough attention. Just saying. But I've always been in the mindset that people should stick up for what's right, and I've seen a lot lately, especially with after the election stuff, has really not shown that enough people are sticking up for what's right and raising their voices when it matters. And I've been very quiet in parts of my life, and that's not who I'm about to be anymore. I am done being that type of person, because I feel like I have a position where I can be more open about those sorts of things and speak more openly about it than some people can. And on top of that, I also think that it's down to classism. I've brought a point up to my friends a few times recently where during the Olympics, Gojira, a heavy metal band, put decapitated heads of Marie Antoinette and other high-ranking French figures on like a French political building, and it got a message out there that classism, that the rich and powerful have always abused their power and their money to hurt people who are lower class than them, who they deem as second-class citizens. And it's one of those things of, we live in a society where that still goes on so frequently. Like, look at right now with the fact that the richest man in the world has access to so many government entities in our country, in the United States, when said person is not a United States citizen and does not pay taxes and his company paid no taxes the last like 6 years. But for some reason he thinks he's an expert on taxes and can and our laws when he doesn't even adhere to a simple law like other rich people don't. Like, you want to make things more equal and you want to fix the tax system, billionaires deserve to be taxed. You want to question why the fuck did they bring why'd they bring the inauguration inside even though Trump is apparently for his people? Because they were scared of being shot. For good reason. I'm going to say this right now. Rich pieces of shit who control vast majority of the world's wealth are not afraid enough of being shot. There should be no reason why the four richest people in the world have this much control over our country. It is not a company. You cannot run it like a company, and even if you could, Trump has bankrupted multiple companies, including 2 casinos, so, like... And yet, there's people who think that the halftime show was a political, like, rejoicing of Trump and what they stand for, and I'm like, you guys clearly weren't paying attention. Yes, because I totally think... Fucking piece of shit. I totally think Serena fucking Williams crip walking on a stage after being blackballed from tennis for crip walking at Wimbledon, even though that's her culture, that's who she is as a person, is bullshit. So yeah, that's totally for you guys. Yeah, totally, 100% for the people who, you know, said they were going to stop watching the NFL. Which is funny, because same people that said they were going to stop watching the NFL when Cap was kneeling for the flag are still watching football, bitching about it today. Look, I was one of those people who thought he was doing the protests in a bullshit way, and I'm going to say this right now. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that because of the fact that he used his voice and his position to try and bring a cause to something. I am saying that because he then didn't take a job to do what he supposedly loved somewhere else for less money. He made it seem like it was less about what he was saying it was about, and that was a problem. But the other big issue is that he, along with so many other people, put it in a perspective that probably didn't fit what they were really trying to do it for. Not everyone was trying to do it for what he was doing it for, and he wasn't doing it, you know, not everyone was doing it for the same reason, basically, is what I'm trying to say. But I do think it's very fitting that Samuel L. Jackson, dressed as Black Uncle Sam, would come out and say things that have been said to people who follow black culture so heavily, and people who've grown up in that culture have heard their whole lives. It's too ghetto, it's too loud, it doesn't make any sense. All those things have been said about certain, you know, about them for their whole lives. Especially in a situation when our president told them specifically, do not show the end racism things in the at the end of the end zones during the entire broadcast. Which, when you think about it, why is our president saying he doesn't want those things showing? It's the same reason he didn't want the flag flown at half-mast during his inauguration, even though former President Jimmy Carter had just died not that long before that. And it is a federal mandate for the flag to be flown at half-mast for a certain amount of time prior to, you know, doesn't matter, like after said person, after a president has died. He did it for his ego. He did it because he's a petty little bitch. And unfortunately, that's just going to continue. And, you know, I know I have people that are probably gonna get pissed about that on my page. And you know what? If that's who you are, then fine. Get pissed about it. I don't give a fuck. You know, you want to be pissed at me for using my First Amendment right, which I have every right to do so, by the way. I have every right to say everything I'm saying right now. Multiple of the things I just said, especially about, like, are confirmed. He uses his ego. He uses things that he wants to feed his ego because he is an egomaniac, orange piece of shit. Instead of doing what is actually best for this country, he's doing what feeds his ego and feeds his supporters and makes them use their brains the way he uses his. Not very well. And if you take offense to that, that's your own fault. You voted this guy in while every economist in the world is saying, hey, his plan for the tariffs isn't going to work. When people whose job it is to study the economy, when people whose job it is to predict how that's going to fluctuate, tell you, hey, this is a bad idea and it's not going to work, and you still happily vote that guy in just to then Google what are tariffs, kind of proves that you're getting exactly what you deserve. And the only problem is, most of his supporters are not going to find an issue with it until after. The problem is that all of us who tried to say, hey, this is not going to work, this is dumb, are all now having to be like, I fucking told you so. And I'm going to say this right now, I'm going to be petty as fuck. I'm a petty motherfucking person, and I'm going to continue to be petty about it, because everything people told me, you're being paranoid, and that's not true. All that's now coming true, that's now being completely fucking proven as his presidency is barely underway. Yeah, I have a right to be petty, because I have a right to be pissed, because him and his supporters and his followers and his fucking cronies in the government are trying to steal rights away from people I give a fuck about, people I care about. I have family members, my kid, my girlfriend, plenty of people who are people that are having their voices and rights stolen away by a piece of shit who can't even fucking admit that he's wrong half the time. I'm gonna say it right now. Why the fuck should we have a president who thinks that they're infallible? We shouldn't. We should have a president who can recognize their mistakes. We should have a president who can say, oh, well, I fucked up here, I said something wrong, and admit they're wrong. When the Olympic boxer was said to have been a male who transitioned to female, Trump was told, his supporters were told, that is bullshit, that is not the case at all. They are biological female. They were born, I think, if I remember correctly, the boxer was born intersex, which means they had both parts. I believe. But here's the thing. They're from a country, she's from a country, where it is illegal to transition. It is illegal to be trans, and they would be she would have been stoned to death for being trans. And yet people still doubled down saying that she was trans. Even when all the facts and everything like that was thrown right in their faces, which, you really love facts and you love fact checking, you got your ass fact checked multiple times during the entire lead up to the election, and yet still didn't want to listen to facts because fear mongering and hate is all most of his supporters know. And for people saying, oh well, you're just saying that, I know enough Trump supporters in my family that did not listen to reason, did not listen to me saying he's a politician and he's going to fuck you over. I'm gonna say this right now. Go back to his first two elections, or his first 2 times running. He did not like electric cars and he did not like hybrids. It was gas all the way. And now all of a sudden Elon Musk's giving him money, which is illegal by the way because he has a government contract. So him giving $5 million or whatever the fuck he gave to the Trump campaign is illegal. But not that they give a fuck. They've removed the Constitution from the United States website and are doing whatever they can to piss on it. Gave him a bunch of money, and all of a sudden Trump likes electric cars and hybrids. Sounds like a politician who can be bought. So what's to stop him from being bought by literally anyone else? The problem is his supporters will never buy that because, well, he's just friends with Elon and he can make a good business plan. No, he can't. He doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about. Okay, so this is literally just the berserk bombs. Okay. I don't know why it says influence them with poison when it's the berserk bombs. That's just weird to me, but okay. But yeah, so, like, I'm saying this as a genuine person who wants my country to get better and has voted differently in each election. And I will say this right now, I fully believe I made a mistake in 2016. If I would have been a more informed voter, I would not have voted for him in 2016. And I happily admit that I voted for him in 2016 because I, like I said, was not very informed. I was a young voter. I turned 18 2 months before the election. Didn't have a lot of time. Wasn't as focused on it as I should have been. And I think right now, what I'm going to say, I think schools should have classes every year for 18-year-olds, for seniors and stuff like that, and people who are getting older and getting to that point where they're going to be able to vote in the next election. Even not the next election, just in general, being able to vote at some point in the future. There should be a class that teaches them full on well, like ready to go, especially in election years, will focus heavily. And I don't mean an elective class, because I know there's elective classes that teach you politics and things like that. I mean a full-on, this is a class you are required to take to graduate class of teaching you what policies the people who are currently running for office are actually gunning for, or actually doing, what their policies are, and informing young voters as best as possible prior to the elections. Because I think that is the problem. I've met young voters, and I met a young voter this year who said he voted Trump because he didn't know much, he wasn't super informed, and he, you know, believed in what he said. And I'm like, you know what? I get that. Like, I get what you're saying, but this is the exact reason that not having an informed populace is a problem. And now we have Elon Musk who thinks that all government employees should have anonymity and not be known. No, fuck that. I should know. If you're fucking me over, if you're having access to my private data, I should 1000% know who the fuck you are. That way, when fascism inevitably takes over, because it's what's going on right now, and I'm gonna say this right now, if you come into the comments and try to say that Musk fucking did a Roman salute, nah, he would have been goose stepping in the 40s. I'm gonna say that right the fuck now. That was 100% a Nazi salute. You cannot tell me otherwise. I'm not fucking stupid. I'm a history nerd. I know full fucking well what salute that was. You can say whatever you want, and you can believe whatever you want, but the truth is that he did a fascist salute and went and met with a neo-Nazi party in Germany a week later. Or a week or two later, whatever. That is a problem. And if you do not find a problem with that, then unfortunately, you probably also would have been goose stepping in the 40s, and that's another problem. And genuinely, an informed populace does nothing but help this country. We should have a country, we should want a president who wants our country to be more informed and more intelligent, not less informed and stupid. The Department of Education being removed does nothing but fucking cause us problems in the future. We already have every other country making fun of us for how fucking stupid our country is. Like, and now you're trying to go to war with Canada and Poland and Denmark and all these other fucking places and Greenland and everything that are literally our allies in NATO. You're removing us from government facilities across the world, like the fucking WHO and everything. Like, you're removing us from things that help us as a country, and you expect people to be completely okay with that and complicit, and that's bullshit. The American people, I'm gonna say this right now, the rich are the minority. I want to specify that right now. The people who are, as they put it, lower class individuals, middle class, lower middle class, all that sort of low class, all that sort of stuff. The people who don't have as much money, the people who can't do everything to make this country better with just a fucking flick of the wrist and throwing $100,000 bills at everything. You know, $100,000 at everything. Those people, those are the majority. The minority are the billionaires and the trillionaires and the super rich fucking assholes who think they can do whatever they want, who get a slap on the wrist anytime they get arrested and things like that. Those people would not be able to do shit if the rest of us rose up and did anything to stop them. And that is the point of Kendrick's entire halftime show, is that thankfully he's in a position where he can use his voice to call out the bullshit and the hypocrisy by all these people who make enough wealth to do whatever the fuck they want in their lives, not want for a single thing that could end world hunger 3 times over, but choose not to for some reason. Yeah, all those people that he's calling out during that, he's calling out because he knows full well that his voice, he can use it for a good reason. And that, for the people who don't understand why Kendrick's halftime show is so important, that's why. Because he used his voice as somebody who has money, who's worked hard to get to to get to where he is, to call out the bullshit. And he did it in a way that wasn't like a different protests that people have been like, well, I don't think he did this for the right reason. But Kendrick did this for the right reasons. Kendrick did this because he grew up around gang violence in Compton. He grew up in a time where, he's grown up in this time where black people are seen as second-class citizens, and obviously now we're growing up in a time when not only that, but LGBTQ people are being seen, have always been seen as second-class citizens. And now, as time goes on, you have these people who weren't raised with money, who have struggled their whole lives, who are now being fucking seen as second-class citizens by a rich, higher elite, oligarchical fucking upper class that want to do whatever the fuck they can to fuck you over, while they say, oh, well, don't you want to know how your tax money is being paid? No, what I'd rather know is why the fuck you rich assholes aren't paying any. Here's the thing, and I remember having this conversation with my dad a couple months ago, when we were talking about why Trump's bullshit plan wasn't going to work. And I said, I know why it's not going to work, because it's basically Reaganomics 2.0. He's like, what do you mean? I was like, it's basically trickle-down economics, which is a system that did not fucking work. And my dad laughed about it. He's like, what do you mean? That worked. I'm like, no, it fucking didn't. All it did was keep the rich rich and the poor poor. That's all it did. It didn't change anything. It didn't fix anything. Not to mention the fact that all these older generations who say everything is the new generation's fault, even though they have their houses that they bought for $50,000 60, 70 years ago, 40, 50 years ago, whatever, that we can't even afford now. We can't afford a house on the salaries they were making when they were our age. We can't afford to feed our families on what they were making. And instead of raising minimum wage, instead of helping this generation, they bitch and moan because we're entitled and you want this and you want that. We're not entitled because we want to be able to live our fucking lives comfortably. We're not entitled because we want to be able to survive. We're not entitled because we want to be able to eat dinner and have a family. They're entitled for thinking that we don't deserve those things because we're young. I'll put it this way. My dad once, when I was about 14 years old, and this is something that has stuck with me for a long time. Through my mom getting sick, me not wanting to pass on her disease, me being suicidal and depressed, me not knowing where my life was going to be, me wanting to get tested to decide if I wanted to have a family or not. My dad, when I was around 14, 15 years old, we had a conversation, and it got onto the topic of what was the happiest day of your life. And he said the day he became a father, the 3 days he became a father, when my older brother Josh was born, when I was born, and then when my younger brother Isaac was born. Now, I'm pretty sure part of that he's being full of shit, considering the fact of stuff I've learned in, since that conversation, about the situation with my younger brother and his mom specifically. I feel less like my dad was telling the truth completely on that part, but the point stands. My dad talked to me and he said that one of the happiest days of his lives were the days me and my brothers were born. And it made me rethink my idea of having kids. And I was like, you know what? Didn't want to for the longest time. And after hearing my dad say that, it made me rethink, and I'm still back and forth on it, but I'm at a point where when I was with my ex, I was completely fine not having kids because she didn't want them, and that was okay with me. So like, okay, I'm not really sure if I want them anyway, so I'm completely fine with not having them. And then after me and her split, I realized I wouldn't have been as happy, and it would have just caused a multitude of issues between me and her had I decided not to have them with her and we stayed together. Probably would have led to us breaking up anyway because of, you know, if you make a compromise like that and you end up finding that you do still want those, you do still want kids, and that compromise isn't going to work for you, you're going to be unhappy forever. And it's going to ruin the relationship and ruin the way you think of things. So while I did really enjoy being with my ex, and I think they're a great person, and I will always think that they are a great person, I'm also very happy that them and I split when we did. Because it would not have worked, and it would have ended worse had we stayed together. And on top of that, it's one of those things of it's one of those things of you have to make a decision on what you really want. Do you want to stay with this person you genuinely loved for a very long time, or what do you mean I'm leaving the fucking mission area? What? There's nothing here for me to grab. There's nothing here. What do you mean? I freed the Wenja there, you fucking is it because I didn't kill the fucking one person? Okay. We good? Because I didn't kill that person? Okay, can I go over here now and get this collectible? And I've since, again, with looking for a house for 7 years, you know, 6-7 years, where I've had people say, oh, well, it's because of this president, or it's because of this president. It's not because of any president. The presidents don't control the housing market. They don't. They don't control the price of gas either, for the fucking idiots who think that it's magically going to go down. And I'm going to say this right now. I worked in a gas station through the entirety of Trump's presidency, pretty much. Like the last 2-3 years of his presidency, I was at a gas station working constantly. In 2018, 2019, and 2020, I worked at a gas station. The only reason in 2020, the only reason in 2020, 2021 gas was so low is because they had a stockpile. They had overstocked gas, and that was the only reason it was so cheap, because they knew, and I'm gonna say this right now, those of you who don't know, gas does expire. Eventually gas will expire, it will stop working as well, and it won't light as well. And here's the funniest part, my dad knows this full well, and yet still tries to say that Trump made gas cheaper because he knew it would help people. No, gas was made cheaper by all the rich fucking oil baron assholes, excuse me, who didn't want to lose money, because if the gas sat for any longer, it wouldn't have been useful. Like 1000%. If the gas had sat for that whole time that the pandemic was going on and everyone was on lockdown, then it would have fucking gone bad and they would have lost all of their money. They made a very smart financial decision. Do we use all of the gas we have in stock right now, all of the gas that's sitting there ready to be used that we have overstocked of, or do we let it go bad and lose all of our money? And they chose what was better for their business, which was to just sell it at a much cheaper price than what they wanted to, which, yeah, a couple bucks a gallon is nice gas for us, but for them, that's them losing a lot of money, which kind of is nice for them with all the idiots who bought like 50 fucking gallons of gas and the giant drums. And I'm going to say this right now, for those of you saying that didn't happen, yeah, it did. We had multiple people come to my store when I was at the gas station who would get like a 50-gallon drum of gas and fill it and not think about the fact that, yeah, if you can use all of that before it goes bad, that's awesome. Otherwise, you just wasted a shitload of your own fucking money. Now, granted, at that point in time, there were, you know, that was like 50 bucks of gas, so it's not the biggest of deals. But the other thing I find really funny about all these people saying all this shit about the gas prices and everything is that a lot of them are the types of people that are driving diesel trucks. And once again, as somebody who worked at a gas station, for the entire pandemic, from 2020 and everything, all of 2020, yeah, diesel stayed basically the same. Never really fluctuated. It might have, gone down like a couple cents here and there, but for the vast majority of the time, diesel still costs like $3-4 a gallon, $3 to $4 or $5 a gallon, because they didn't have an overstock of diesel, which makes it really funny that my dad, who only drove diesel, was like, oh yeah, well, gas was so low when Trump was president. I'm like, it was low because nobody was going anywhere, and you drive diesel, so why the fuck does it even matter for you? Like, all these people who drive things that don't run on regular gasoline talking about how cheap gasoline was in 2020, like it fucking matters to them. Like, you were still spending $5 a gallon on what you buy, you morons. But yet they'll still talk about it and act like there's anything. And I'll say this too, because there's people who are like, oh well, the housing market is so bad because of Biden. I've been looking at houses since 2019, 2020. They have been bad the whole fucking time. This is not anything new. This is not something that just happened under Biden. No, housing prices have been garbage the whole fucking time for the last 6 years. They are overpriced because we are unfortunately in a seller's market, which means they're gonna sell for a lot higher, but not really fucking be affordable for anyone who's buying. Which, again, I point out, the President of the United States has nothing to do with the prices of either of these things. They are set by somebody else, and they fluctuate based on completely different market values. And it's frustrating me to hear people talk about these things like they know what they're talking about, like they know, like they've been paying attention for as long as I have, like they've been around the stuff for as long as I have. And I'm like, no, you don't know what you're talking about. You're acting like you know what you're talking about because you think that Trump shits fucking gold and pisses rainbows, which is not the case at all. He breeds hate, he fucking spits vitriol, he pisses vinegar, and he's honestly just an asshole. Like, genuinely. He's an asshole. He's a racist, he's a rapist, he's a bigot, and he's a fucking 34-time convicted felon, and for some reason, he's our president once again. But I digress. And that's the problem, is so many people will believe that somebody can magically snap their fingers and fix every problem we have. Well, I'm going to put it this way. Being tariffed back by Canada, Mexico, and China is going to hurt us. His tariff plan was already fucking dumb because the people who bear the tariffs are not the people who are sending the shit, it's the people who are buying the shit. Which means us, because we buy most of our shit from Mexico, Canada, and China. I'm going to say this right now, for the people who are like, oh, well, he'll bring manufacturing jobs. How? How is he going to bring manufacturing jobs back to the U.S. when, number one, he's deporting a shitload of people who are legally here, and those are the types of people that work on farms. Those are the type of people that work those factory jobs. They're the type of people that work a lot of fucking jobs that he magically thinks are going to be made because he's fucking sitting here doing all this shit to get rid of the reliance on other countries without really thinking about it for more than half a fucking second. There's the fact that people in California, whether here illegally or legally, I don't really give a fuck at this point, because he wants to remove them all. It does not matter if they're here legally or illegally. He's already established that. Otherwise, he wouldn't have gotten rid of the legal way on the White House website to immigrate to this country. You know, a country built on immigrants, both illegal and mostly illegal and legal. Because for people who are bitching about illegal immigrants being here so much, guess what? Every American, every white American, every person who's not a Native American, an American Indian in the United States is an illegal immigrant. We all came here illegally on a boat from England carrying death and disease. But people don't like fucking having facts thrown in their face because they're stupid. But he wants to get rid of all of them because he's a racist piece of shit. Plain and simple. We had people in California who refused to go and fucking pick any crops, which is going to fuck us over in the long run because that means our crops are not being picked. because they're scared that now that Trump is president has enacted his bullshit plan with ICE, that they're all going to be deported. So guess what? Nobody's picking our crops. Nobody is fucking working our fields and bringing us food. And for people who are like, oh, well, they're out of season anyway because it's winter. Not everywhere in this fucking country is covered in snow year-round. Or even for half of the year. Some places in this country don't have snow at all. Shocker. I know. But people don't think about that for some reason. They're like, oh, well, winter, it's winter, so it doesn't matter anyway. Crops still grow in the winter in some parts of this country. Why people don't understand that, I don't know, but it is an unfortunate fact of life that people don't understand that. And that's going to bite us in the ass. The fact that a lot of our technological things come from other countries, especially countries like China, Japan, and other Eastern markets, that's going to fuck us over because we're not going to have chips to put into certain things. I'll put it this way, during COVID, you could barely get the chipsets needed and things needed for things like PlayStation 5s and Xboxes. And I know, first world problem that you couldn't fucking get a video game console piece, but I'm making, like, it's the point of what I'm making, like, those types of things, completely impossible to get because of COVID, because of the restrictions and everything like that. And I'm going to say this right now, he put a lot of restrictions on Eastern countries like China and Japan because China is where COVID originated, or at least COVID-19 originated, I should say. And he was pissed, and now he's going back through it with another pandemic while, you know, things are starting over in China, and some cases of this avian flu, or is it the avian flu or simian flu, whatever, are currently being brought into the U.S. And now that we have no CDC to help us, like, hey, what, oh yeah, it's avian flu, to help us, like, know what we shouldn't eat and things like that, we're kind of fucked with no FDA, with no CDC, with no WHO backup to tell us, hey, here's what we're doing to combat the virus. Because, you know, that's quite literally the reason those things exist. And he's removing us from them because he's a petty little fucking bitch who's pissed about the fucking first pandemic that he didn't do fucking jack diddly squat about for literally months, even though we knew it was already happening all over the world. And if we would have fucking been more prepared for it, we would not have shut down for an entire goddamn year. But again, people don't fucking buy into that. People are like, oh, well, that pandemic was bullshit. It wasn't really real. No, it was. I know people that died from it. And yeah, it was funny to make the haha jokes about it for the first couple months. But once it got serious and people realized that Trump wasn't doing shit to stop it, then it became a problem. If you have a pandemic breaking out across your country, you should 100% be focused on stopping it. And stopping the spread and actually taking care of your citizens, because it's what your fucking job is. But he was too busy fucking stroking his goddamn ego while Elon fucking tickled his prostate. Which is what he's doing all over again right now. I don't really like getting political on the channel because genuinely it's not what I'm here for, but I'm at that point where I'm fucking sick and tired of this shit. I'm sick and tired of the media illiterate morons trying to tell me what to think and that this is what's bad and this is what's going to happen and all these people in the bathrooms are going to blah 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 blah. I'm going to say this right now. I am much less worried about a trans person following me home than I am about another man following me home. I am less worried about a trans person being in my bathroom than I am about Donald Trump being in my bathroom. And I'm going to say this right fucking now. There's a lot of people in this world that, yes, I understand you don't fully get transgender things. And I'm going to say this right now. If you don't get it, there's nothing to get. They're people like you and I. The only difference is they were born in the wrong body. And for people saying, oh, well, they can get the mental help they need. Part of that is gender reassignment surgery because it helps their mental state better. As somebody who suffered from body dysmorphia for most of my fucking life, I can fully understand why somebody would do that to fix their mental state and try to calm their brain and remove the anxiety that they have about their body. Now, while I don't have to do that, because mine was just because I got really self-conscious about my body, because a lot of people always talked about the fact that I was really skinny because I have high metabolism, which for people saying, oh, well, that doesn't make sense why that gave you body dysmorphia, because I was a fucking twig for my whole life, and it bothered me, and it always caused issues mentally for me. But people don't give a shit about that because I'm skinny, right? It is a fully realized point in life that it is a gender reaffirming care. And I'm going to say this right now for people who are like, well, that shouldn't be a part of gender reaffirming care, shouldn't be covered by anything. Well then, have fun not being able to do anything about being bald, because that's also gender reaffirming care. There's so many things that fall under that subgenre of medical care that Trump and all of his cronies and all of his supporters and followers don't realize that they're going to lose. Viagra technically also falls under that, because it's literally you pumping testosterone into your body to help you get yourself up. So if you want to bitch and moan all you want about it, go ahead, but I'm going to say this right now. The people who are to blame are not the people who voted for Kamala. They are not the people who voted to keep people's rights. They are not the people who voted to try to actually help other people. They are the people who voted with their selves in mind and only thinking about themselves. And that is the problem. A vote for the President of the United States of America, a vote for any political office, is not just about you and your side. It is not just about you and what you need. It is about what everyone in the country needs. It is about what everyone at whatever level of government, local or global, needs. And if you're voting solely for yourself, you're not voting correctly. And that's not me telling somebody how to vote. That's literally how voting should be. Voting should always be what's best for my country. Not what's best for me, the individual. What's best for us. What's best for we, the people. That's kind of, you know, why we, the people, is such a big part of the Constitution. Because you should be thinking about the people as a whole. Whether you're voting, or whether you're a government official, the people should always be your first and last thought. It should never be, how can I help myself? How can I help my supporters? How can I help my people? How can I help these? It's how can I help every single person in this country? And I love the fact that when talking with my dad about this, his point is always, oh, well, Biden and them did this in this state. I'm like, okay, well, Trump did this in these states. The best part is the hypocrisy of, well, Biden didn't give aid to these states after a hurricane. It's like, okay, Trump didn't give aid to these states after a hurricane. Trump didn't give aid to these states after a fucking bunch of wildfires. Like, you can't do the whataboutism bullshit and be that much of a hypocrite where you look at one side and say that this side's doing wrong because they're doing it this way with these states, while this side did it wrong by doing it this way with these states. I made the point to my dad, and he said Trump is America's president. It's like, no, it's not. No, he's not. He's not a president for everyone. He's a president who divides. Plain and simple. A lot of our presidents recently have been that same exact way. A president is not the president to the people who voted him in. He's not president to the political party that voted him in, that he's a part of, or that she's a part of. The president is the president to every American citizen who voted, regardless of if they voted for the person who made it or not. And that is the biggest takeaway from the way our country is being ran right now, is that unfortunately, for some reason, both sides keep failing to remember that the president is the president of the entire United States. They're not the president of one side or the other. They're the president of every single man, woman, and child in this country. And if they do not want to rule Rule is the wrong word for that. If they do not want to serve the people of this country, both sides, every single one, regardless of if they agree with them or not, they do not deserve to be in a place of power inside of our country. And before anyone says, oh, that sounds like you're trying to mount an insurrection, doesn't matter, I'll be pardoned anyway. Considering all the people Trump just pardoned, including people who killed cops. And while I may not always agree with cops, I also don't think that they deserve to have their lives stolen. I don't think that families deserve to get called from any side of it, whether they're cops, civilians, white, black, Chinese, Mexican, Asian, anything. Hispanic in general, Asian in general, white, black, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter what color you are. Oh fuck, that was my person. Whoopsies. Does not matter what color you are on the outside. You're still a human being, and you still deserve to be able to live your life. Unless you're a fascist, or a rapist, or a racist, or a bigoted piece of shit. In which case, you can die. I don't really give a fuck. But for the people who genuinely care about other people, for the people who are genuinely just trying to live their lives, they do not deserve to die in that way. And the police officers who were killed during the January 6th insurrection, because that's what it was, say what you want, it was an insurrection. He was pissed that he lost the election and had his followers go attack the White House, leading to the deaths of multiple people and injuries of a bunch of others. You do not deserve to be in that office, and they genuinely should not have died in that situation, because it was not worth a waste of human lives because somebody was pissed off that they lost an election, and then all of a sudden they magically win the next one, getting all the swing states that they lost last time. Not just a few, which would already be kind of weird that they'd flip that fast, but every single swing state that they lost the previous time would flip. That's interesting, to say the least. And I'm not, like, a conspiracy theorist about a lot of things. What's up? Alright, but enough about that. I lost my train of thought anyway, and genuinely, I'm just exhausted talking about that right now. And my throat is just, yeah. But, to reiterate, you are the president of the entire American people, not just your side, was the gist of that. Fuck, where am I supposed to be going for this? God damn it. What did I miss? What? Hold up. Wait. That's actually fucking genius. Holy shit. But yeah, I don't know. Like I said, I tend to try not to get political on here, but I've just been exhausted lately with everything that's going on and wanted to get it off my chest. Kind of get some real feelings out there about where I'm at. So, you know, if I get to a point where YouTube just becomes something I don't want to do anymore, you can kind of probably understand why. I want a better life for a family than what I had growing up. But unfortunately, it's starting to look less and less likely because of where everything's at in the world right now. Which sucks, because I don't know. I don't know. Such a great plan with Ella and everything that we have we're wanting to do. And to see a lot of that go up in smoke lately is just kind of I don't know, heartbreaking, I guess is the best word for it, where we're genuinely worried for Kaylee's safety and for our own in the future, and especially for her because she's Hispanic. Lord Almighty. And she's already had a lot of issues with the past, with the things that have happened in her life that are not fair for somebody as amazing and sweet as her to have to go through. Did I hit what I needed to hit? I actually don't think I did. So, how the fuck am I supposed to hit this, Ubisoft? There's no fucking way it's supposed to be from right here. Yeah, that's what I thought. Bullshit. How did I not hit it from up here, though? Oh my god, bullshit. Game. There we go. I don't know how I didn't hit it from up here. Alright, there's that done. God, I'm tired. I really should just go to bed. Sleep for a little bit. I think that's what I'm gonna do. I'm too tired for this shit. But, I mean, again, apologies for like the political tangent and everything, because I was just not happy today. Like, I'm just not happy lately with everything going on, and that's kind of what sucks, is I don't always outlet it the best way. So, but I hope you guys still enjoyed the stream regardless. I'll see you all in the next one. Stay golden.